Hello everybody, I'm Rajesh Gaikwad, Assistant Professor at L.R. Tiwari College of Engineering. Today I will be taking a lecture on Unix case study. This is the first part of the lecture, so I'll be starting with the history of Linux. So let us discuss the history of Linux. The history of Linux dates back to 1969 where Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie started with the little used PDP-7, which was in the corner of Bell Labs, and the first edition of Linux came out in 1971. It has an assembler for PDP-11 file system, fork, ROF and ED. It was used for text processing of patent documents. Next came the fourth edition in 1973. It was written in C. This Unix was portable and changed the history of OS. The sixth edition came in 1975. It came out of the Bell Labs for other people to use, and the version of Linux was 6. The seventh edition that came into 1979 was nothing but an improvement over all preceding and following Unix having Bourne shell. It had C, UUCP and Bourne shell. It was ported to VX and the kernel was more than 40 kilobytes. Microsoft introduces Xenia. It's a Xenix machine in 1980 with 32V and 4 BSD was later on introduced. Then came System 3, which was again designed in 1982 with AT&T's Unix System Group, which released System 3, the first public release outside Bell Laboratories. Sun OS with 1.0 was shipped, and HP UX introduced by HP. Ultrix 11 was also introduced during this period. Computer Research Group, Unix System Group and a third group merged together to become Unix System Development Lab, and they came out with the System 5 in 1983. AT&T announces Unix System 5, the first supported release installed base, and its installed base was 45,000 machines across the globe. Then came 4.2 BSD in 1984, which was developed in the University of California and Berkeley, which includes TCP/IP. That was a new signal for networking, and many X-open resources were there. Then came System 5 Release 2, which was introduced in 1984. At this time there were around 1 lakh Unix installations around the world, and it has a in 1986 we have with 4.3 BSD released, which included Internet Name Server, and which has SVID introduced, NFS shipped along with it, AIX was introduced, and installation base of 4. BSD was around 2,50,000 users. Then came S5R3 in 1987. System 5 Release 3 includes streams, TLI, RFS. At this time there were around 7,50,000 machines with Unix installation around the world. IRIX was also introduced during this period. Unix with System 5 Release 4 ships, unifying System 5 BSD and Xenix, and this increased its base to around 1.2 million in 1989. Then came XPG3 1990. This is nothing but an X-Open launches XPG3 brand with OSF1 debuts in this 1990 period. Plan 9 from Bell Labs was shipped for Unix System Laboratories. Unix System Laboratories becomes a company majorly owned by AT&T. Linus Torvald commences with Linux development and debuts, or Solaris also has its debut during this period. System 5 release 4.2 was in 1991, which has a Unix System 5 release 4.2 Destiny. In October, XPG-G4 brand was launched by XOpen. In December 22nd, Novell announces intent to acquire USL. Solaris 2.0 was also shipped during this period. Then came 4.4 BSD in 1992. 4.4 BSD, the final release from Berkeley. June 16, Novell acquired USL. Novell transfers rights to Unix trademark and the single Unix specification to XOpen in 1993. Course Initiatives delivers Spec 1170 to XOpen for fast track. In December, Novell ships S5 R4.2 MP, the final USL OEM release of System 5. BSD 4.4 Lite eliminated all code claimed to infringe on USL Novell as the new owner of the Unix trademark. XOpen introduced the single Unix specification, formerly Spec 1170, separating the Unix trademark from any actual code streams for single Unix specification in 1994. In 1995, XOpen introduces the Unix 95 branding program for implementation of single Unix specification. Novell sells Unixware business line to SCO, that is Santa Cruz Unix or SCO Unix we say. Digital Unix introduced by Unixware 2.0 was shipped. Open Server 5.0 was the debutant during this year. The Open Group forms as a merger of OSF and XOpen. The XOpen Group introduces version 2 of the single Unix specification, including support for real-time threads and 64-bit larger processor. The specification is made freely available on the web. IRIX 6.4, AIX 4.3 and HPUX 11 ship most of the Unix that were used on server side, which were called as single Unix specification in version 2 in 1997 were released. In 1998, Unix 98 was released with the family of brands including base machine, workstations and server. Unix 98 registered products shipped by Sun, IBM and NCR. The open source movement starts to take off with the announcement from Netscape and IBM. Unixware 7 and IRIX 6.5 was shipped during this period. In 1990, Unix was at 30, that is 30th anniversary of Unix. Linux 2.2 kernel released. Open Group and IEEE commence jointly developed of a revision to POSIX and single Unix specification. The first Linux World Conference took place. .com fever was in the stock market and 264 Unix was shipped during this period. This single Unix specification, version 3 of the single Unix specification, unites with IEEE POSIX, the Open Group and the industry efforts. Linux 2.4 kernel was released. IT stocks face a hard time at this time. The value of the procurement for Unix brand exceeds $25 billion, and the cost of AIX file the AIX file was shipped during this period. ISO IEC 9945 is to 2000, that is 9945 to 2000 ISO standards were confirmed for the core volume of version 3 of single Unix specification were approved as an international standard. The Westwood's test suite shipped for Unix 3 brand Solaris 9.0e ships Linux Linux 2.6 kernel was also released during this period. Latest version of Unix APIs set formally standardized at ISO IEC, IEEE and the Open Group add further APIs for the Linux Unix and Linux. ISO, this was in year 2008. In the year 2009, Unix at was 40, that is 40 years completed. IDC on Unix market says that Unix $69 billion 2008, that was the value market value for Unix, which also predicts Unix at $74 billion in 2013 by 2013. Unix came onto the desktops in 2010. Apple reports around 50 million desktops and growing, and still growing. These are the certified Unix systems. So more than 50 million desktops might be there in the world. The source for my lecture was from www.unix.org. That is, this is the website from where I took the points. And thank to them for this lecture. And this is my end of the first lecture, which has discussed the point on the history of Linux. Next time we'll take some more points on the case study of Unix. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.